Start spreading the news.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
New York, I love you. I love New York.
What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron, and we got a great show for you today. I can't wait to get into it. We're going to talk about some predictions we had before the season, go through some of the surprises and all that, some of the award winners we had preseason, and go over some of the potential matchups in the playoffs. So, but before we start, and I introduce my tremendous guest for today, this show is brought to you by our people at SeatGeek. SeatGeek, your number one place for all your ticket needs. SeatGeek, use promo code OffTheBallNetwork, all caps, and you get $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek.com. You got the playoffs around the corner. We got a whole bunch. Baseball just started. We got hockey, everything. You want to take your girl to the play, opera, whatever. Go to SeatGeek.com, your number one place for all your ticket needs, and use the promo code OffTheBallNetwork for $20 off your first purchase. But let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to introduce my special guest. I was on before the season started. We did a little preview show, and he's back on. My guy, Francis Carlota. What's going on, Francis?
Hey, man, it's been a minute. We said before we started recording that it feels like we recorded that preseason episode yesterday. It's nuts, man, how quickly time flies. I mean, what's the saying, right? Time flies when you're having fun. So, it's been a fun NBA season. That's for damn sure. Ups and downs, waves and flows, and it's been great. So thank you for having me on, and I'm looking forward to getting into it.
Yes, it really did go quick, and especially when you're having fun. Now, that especially for me, I don't get to have a lot of fun with with NBA seasons. That's why I love the NBA, because I'm a Knicks fan and we tend to not have the best of seasons, but this year is very different.
Yeah.
I think we're at 48 wins, I believe. It has been a tremendous season, potentially 2 old NBA players, a 6-man. It's been really fun. And I know for you, for you in Memphis, you have the 2 seed, but you guys have been in the news a little bit,
Yeah,
in the news a little bit. It's been a crazy year for Memphis, this year with everything going on with not just injuries and on the court, but obviously, what's going on with Ja and off the court. But it's crazy, even with all that, Francis, you're the 2 seed and only, and 2 games behind the number 1 seed. If I would have told you all that, if ever I told you with the injuries with Clark out for the season, Adams, and then missing your best player for a lot of the season, Bane missing time, you would have been like, oh my God, we're probably like in the play-in scenario. And next thing, no, you're 2 seed. You would have laughed. Anyone would have laughed. So before we get into a lot of the preseason talk, just go into that. Let's dive into that and just the season for Memphis so far, and just how you guys have overcome a lot of stuff that a lot of teams would not be able to handle.
Yeah, and I think I saw a tweet today talking about the youngest teams in the NBA. And Memphis is the 5th youngest team in the NBA right now, along with the Rockets, Magic, and I'm missing the 2 other teams. But either way, it's a bunch of young, bad teams. And then the Memphis Grizzlies, who, as you said, Chris, they're 2nd in the Western Conference. They're not some tankathon team where you're refreshing the lottery odds every 2 seconds or trying to do the mock drafts to see who's Memphis going to pick in the top 5. No, we're, as Grizzlies fans, as a person who covers the Grizzlies, we're talking about first round matchups and seeing who we're going to match up as the 2 seed. How far can we go without Steven Adams? Hopefully he returns soon, hopefully. But what's going to happen if he isn't returning soon? Brandon Clark got out. How far can this team go as the 2 seed in the Western Conference? Chris, with all the things you mentioned, they are 4th in net rating. 4th. In the last 10 games, they're 7-3. Throughout all the injuries, throughout Zaire Williams. We talked about Zaire preseason. He was a big key for me going into the year. I thought he'd have a really good sophomore season to build off of his rookie campaign, and it's been the opposite. He hasn't really made any impact on the Grizzlies at all. But then what you do have is guys like David Roddy, Kenneth Lofton Jr. coming up from the G League playing impactful minutes. Big boys
are back. Let's go.
I love it. I love it. As a big dude myself, I used to be 300 pounds, Chris. I can't remember if I told you that.
I used to be 275, man. And I used to have to play below the rim and all that. I used to
absolutely.
Jack Randolph was my guy because I'm like, I don't got hops like that, so I got to play, kind of like how he plays.
Yeah, I love seeing it. So we got a lot of guys playing impactful minutes, and guys, it's a testament to how good of a front office this is in terms of getting depth for the overall team. A lot of that too is how good Jaren Jackson's been throughout the entire season. Defensive Player of the Year candidate. For my money, he should be the winner.
He's the winner.
But he should be at the very least. But he's been incredible this year. This has been the Jaren Jackson Jr. that Memphis fans have been craving for a while, and ever since he came into the league. So his step forward is a massive reason why the Grizzlies are still the 2 seed. Desmond Bane has been incredible. As you mentioned, he missed time in the beginning of the year, and if he didn't miss time, he probably would have been an all-star.
Oh, definitely.
Probably.
No, 100%.
So
100% an all-star.
It's wild to think that if he did not get hurt, the Grizzlies, the 2nd seed in the West, would have had 3 all-stars. Yet everybody is talking about them like they're going to get upset by the Lakers. And
Francis, I don't want to hear the Lakers and all that.
I know, and we're going to talk about matchups later on, and that's one we'll talk about. But they're being dismissed as like chopped liver, and it's the same narrative, man. Same thing last year when they were the 2 seed. They were being dismissed like they were nothing, not a big deal. But at the end of the day, this is still a very good basketball team. That, again, when we talk matchups later on, that once Steven Adams comes back, if he is fully healthy, I think they can make the Western Conference Final, and depending on who they face, they could win the West, because this is a very good basketball team. But Steven Adams has to be healthy. I think if he's not healthy, then it's going to be a much harder road to get to that promised land. But still, it's knowing what they've been through, knowing the off the court stuff with Ja Morant, and I'm not going to get into a soapbox about it. I've talked a lot about the Ja Morant stuff. I'm just it's not I'm not gonna do that no more, Chris. I'm tired. I'm not gonna do it.
Oh yeah. It's ran its course. It's ran its course.
Yeah, I'm tired. So all the Ja Morant stuff aside, he's slowly looking like the Ja Morant that we know who he is on the basketball court. This is a very good team. And with all that they've been through this year, it's impressive. It's a testament to the front office. It's a testament to the continuity of the team, how much they love playing with each other, how much they care about each other. And it's impressive, and we'll see what happens in the playoffs.
Yeah, like I said, that's definitely, it's been impressive what you guys have been able to do with all that stuff. Like I mentioned, it was a lot of things, and to hold on to the 2 seed right now and most likely be locked in there, that's impressive. And it shows, the leadership on the team, from the front office down, that they did a good job with all the wildness that's going on with your team in Memphis. But, impressive, and we'll see what happens in the playoffs. And, I want to talk about my Knicks quick.
Please.
Quick before we get into all our I expected this team to be improved, a lot more improved, right? And I think we all agree, like, the Knicks are going to be a better team, competitive team. They're going to fight and all that. Whether I know some
Tibbs as your coach, man.
Yeah,
you're always going to fight
and all that. It's always going to be competitive and all that. But I just didn't know how much of an impact Jalen Brunson would make. I know he would help the team, but I didn't think like this, Frank. I don't think any of us thought that Brunson would make the impact that he would make to this degree. I thought there would be a level of impact, but not to this level. All NBA almost, maybe, type of level. And then should have been an all-star and all that. Like, and then how that would impact Randall to get him back to playing how he played 2 years ago, where he was an all-NBA second teamer. I didn't think that would happen. So I had this team around 38 to 42 wins in that play-in scenario. And Francis, the Knicks are the 5th seed right now, and they're going to be going into a series against Cleveland. That's who they're going to play, Cleveland, where they got a chance to win the series. Yeah. Now, Randall's hurt. he's banged up, and Brunson's been banged up a little bit and all that, but you expect those guys to be ready to go. But the Knicks won 47 games this year, Francis. They have a chance to win 49 games and be, and almost win 50 games this season. It's been truly impressive for you. As someone who's not a fan, and you looking at the Knicks from the outside, what have you seen from this team that is why they're sitting here and they are a top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, I'll keep it simple because, again, I'm not as locked into Knicks fandom as you, so I'll keep it simple from my perspective. It's just Jalen Brunson, man. The importance of him and having a table setter, a true point guard that can run an offense, orchestrate a team, get people in the right spots, but also get a bucket. Like Jalen Brunson can get his bucket really whatever point he can score from outside, inside, mid-range. He can post you up. He'll bully ball you down low because he's a stocky, strong guy. He can post up people. Really any point guard in the NBA. He'll just bring you down there and punish you. That player has been so impactful for your Knicks, as you mentioned. He's been fantastic throughout the whole season. Should have been an all-star. And I like how you mentioned Randall as well and his improvement, because we saw how good Randall was, like you mentioned, 2 years ago. And his assist percentage was like 30-something%. He was a playmaker. He was taking all the shots. His usage rate was through the roof. He was everything for that team. And then we saw last season his numbers regressed because you're not going to expect Julius Randle to do that, to carry that load on a consistent basis on a year-to-year basis. So having Jalen Brunson to get the ball out of Julius Randle's hands a little bit, it kind of freed him up to still be the impactful player that we know he can be, but have a true sidekick to take the load off of Randle, which kind of just gives him the freedom to just ball the way he did 2 years ago, where he was just balling because he was the main guy on offense. So it's cool to see how they've been able to play off of each other. I'm happy for y'all. I'm happy for Knicks fans. I have a close friend of mine here in San Diego, Dave. Shout out Dave, big Knicks fan. He's from New York too, so he's dealt with a lot of the harshness of a Knicks NBA season, to say the very least. And I'm happy for y'all. It's really good to see. And we'll talk about, again, playoff matchups later on. I'm a big Cavs guy, so we'll see. But it's still cool to see the Knicks playing good ball.
Yeah, and Randall has really benefited a lot from Brunson, because when team try to double team Brunson, that leaves Randall open. They try to double team Randall, Brunson's wide. So it's worked vice versa, and that's just and you see a lot happier version of Julius Randle too. Yeah,
besides when he yelled at Emmanuel quickly, that was weird.
Because Brunson wasn't there too. Brunson didn't play too, and I remember doing the post game show for Knicks Fan TV and just being like, that's just him. He just had a moment, and Brunson wasn't there to calm him down and all that, because you didn't really see that a lot this season, from previous seasons without Brunson and all that. So I feel like Brunson's that one everybody has that one friend that knows how to control the one, hothead. There's always that friend that, hey, we need you to control him because you know how to get into. That's how I feel. It's that kind of like that. So, he had a moment that was a little crazy, but the heat of battle, sometimes you get a little too crazy, and he realized that, and they were able to solve that and continue to play good basketball. But Randall has been superb this season, and all that. It's been cool. And then some of the young players have played well. Quickly is a 6th man of the year candidate, and all that. Grimes has played well recently and all that. So it's been great. It's been great, and we'll talk about more about them in their matchup with Cleveland. But let's go to some of our preseason picks and all that, and I'll go through mine from the East. So far, I got the top 10 right now. The order I had originally: the Knicks 10, Bulls 9, Hawks 8, Raptors 7, Cavs 6, Nets 5, Heat 4, Celtics 3, Sixers, and then the Bucks at 1. And it's the 10, but it's just different. Obviously, we got Milwaukee, Boston, Sixers, Cavs, Knicks, Nets, Heat, Hawks, Raptors, Bulls. That's the top 10 right now. So what was your 10? Do you remember?
If I'm trying to remember, I'm sure I had Milwaukee 1, because I had Milwaukee 1, Boston 2. I had Cleveland 3, so Cleveland's 4, so pretty close there. Philly 4, And then I had Brooklyn before the trade, obviously.
Obviously, that changed a lot. But you know what? Give them credit
for the trade
for
yeah.
staying afloat, because they could have crumbled and all that. And right now they're sitting pretty. They don't have to worry about playing game.
Yeah. So I had Brooklyn 5, New York 6. I had Heat 7, Hawks 8, Raptors 9, Bulls 10. So I mean, kind of similar, but the biggest difference, biggest one for me is I was high on the Cavs entering the season, and I had them third. I had them higher than Philly, and they're only a game and a half back of Philly for third. So I'm happy to say that I was pretty much right about the Cavs. I was really excited about them entering the year. I laid out the points as to why I thought adding Donovan Mitchell to this team with Mitchell, Garland, Jared Allen, Mobley, and then insert your third wing, who's probably going to be Isaac Okoro come playoff time. That's a damn good team. Great offensively, great defensively. So I'm happy to see them playing good ball.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were worried about the defense, especially from the guard position. And I was one that was like, I'm not too worried, simply because they got those two big men protecting the rim. And if you have Okoro too, who's known to be a very good defender and all that, I'm not going to overly worry about that when I got three guys who can help me out behind me and all that. And it showed this year. I think they're one of the best defenses in all of basketball. I think they're giving up $1.07 a game, and that's got to be near the top as far as points per game and all that. And so
they're first in defensive rating right now.
Yeah, and the number one defensive rating. Yeah, so like it's shown that. I mean, on the court, you see them to get, but like I said, I know that I got protection behind me. So I can play. I don't have to play as hard, not as hard, but I don't have to be on top of my guy. So that allowed, and I wasn't worried about that. So the one thing I think with Cleveland is the bench. Yeah, right, because they had Kevin Love in the season. It didn't work out. He wound up getting waived, and he's with Miami right now, and that hasn't really worked out. It's been hit or miss, but kind of what we expected. But there's this Cavs team. They made the move, and we talked about that on my show and then on your show. That I love the fact that they went out and made this move. Like, they have not made the playoffs. In the LeBron James era, right? This is the first time they've made the playoffs since I think the mid 90s without LeBron James involved. I think it's something like that. I forgot the exact year, but it's been a while since they've been a playoff team without LeBron James on this squad. So I love that they made this move. And obviously it was between the Cavs and the Knicks went a different direction. And it's so far it's worked for the Knicks and all that. So the Cavs have definitely been impressive and all that. Who has been the disappointment in the East right now?
Disappointment may be a bit of a strong word, because I kind of just expected them to not be this high. Miami at 7. Talked about a preseason that I just don't really get it. I don't see why people are putting Miami in the top 4 positioning preseason. I get they have Bam, Butler, Tyler Hero, but I'm just not a big Jimmy Butler guy. I never have been, even when they made it to the NBA Finals and lost to the Lakers in the bubble, and Jimmy Butler looked like a top 10 player in the NBA, which is great. Good for him, especially for him to take that team that far. But even after that finals appearance, I still was not sold on Jimmy Butler. He's a very impactful player on defense, and he's efficient on offense, but he shoots like 3% from 3 and 2% from the mid-range. That's hyperbole, but you get my point. He's just not a great offensive player. I feel like every time he scores, he's working so hard to get a bucket. Yeah. So hard.
That's definitely the case with his game.
Yeah, and it's just I can't buy the Heat as a real contender in the Eastern Conference currently constructed. Big Bam fan. He's fantastic. But also Kyle Lowry's been disappointing. And we talked about a table setter. We talked about a consistent point guard. The Heat don't have that at all. So that's another reason why I just wasn't high on the Heat entering this year. So again, disappointment may be a strong word, but how about this Toronto? I think Toronto's been disappointing to me a little bit. I thought they'd be a little bit better than where they're at right now, 40-40, 9th in the Eastern Conference. Yeah, they're going to be in the play-in, but I was expecting a little bit more, maybe like a 6 seed, maybe a 6 or 7. But yeah, a little bit disappointed in them. But overall, I'd probably stick with the Heat just because, I didn't think they'd be that good, and unfortunately, I was proven correct.
Yeah, no, I had them 4, and I didn't even feel comfortable putting him at 4 because there was a part of me that felt the same way about you. I was like, I'm not really buying. But then there's the other side, right? There's 2 sides, and I was like, the other side bought in. It's like it's heat culture.
Heat
right?
culture. All right, everyone, take a shot.
Word I can't say. I went in.
Everyone,
I went into it. I believed in it because I'm like, somehow, some way, they're gonna get out of it. They're gonna figure it out. They always seem like they figure it out. It's not going to happen this year. And it just for a lot of the season, they just haven't played. The offense is just, it's not good. It's been, and they're relying on Jimmy to do too much. And like I said, he's not that natural scorer. Like you said, he's got to work for his, and he's done a good job, and he's a great player and all that. But, not having a reliable second option hero's kind of been solid for them. But, I feel like comfortable more of him as a 3 or 4. It's been kind of disappointing. I had them as a 4 seed and all that.
Right.
So yeah, I guess it's disappointing. And you can say the Raptors too. Have been
how about Chris? Could we call the Celtics disappointing? They were the 1 seed and like multiple games up on the competition.
They look dominant. Dominant MVP.
A lot of us midseason were crowning Jason Tatum as the MVP of the NBA and stating that the Eastern Conference is theirs to lose. And then you look at them now, and they're second. They're 3 games behind the Bucks, and they're still very good. Don't get me wrong, but they kind of reverted back to their old habits, playing one-on-one ball, not moving the ball properly. And the Ime Udoka thing affected things middle of the year for sure. But Jason Tatum hasn't been as efficient, not nearly as efficient as he was during the midseason of the year. Jaylen Brown's been a bucket. We know how good Jaylen Brown is, but we're starting to see the old Celtics issues where the ball's sticking. It's like, hey, Jaylen, here's the ball, do your thing. All right, Tatum, your turn. Here's the ball, do your thing. Instead of that beautiful passing, and then Robert Williams, he's so important to this team, man. If Robert Williams stays healthy, and the Celtics are still very good, but I think they're much better if Robert Williams is healthy. But I mean, I think it's something to bring up that the Celtics could be seen at this moment a little disappointing compared to where they were.
Yeah, I mean, they're off to a fire, like absolutely, they were torching. And like I said, Coach of the Year, 6th Man of the Year, MVP. Tatum's, maybe taking the next leap and all that, and he's kind of regressed a little bit and all that. Kind of get back to where he was, his numbers last year, which is still tremendous numbers, and that's all NBA and all that. So, but definitely kind of regressed, kind of went back to some of the stuff that, and they're going to need him to step up and on. And like I said, the stuff with Jaylen Brown, not feeling appreciated, obviously with the everything that happened preseason with Udoka and coaching and all that. And you still have a 1st-year coach, and so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So a little disappointing, but I had them in that top 3 and all that with Sixers and Bucks, So yeah, but the start they had, they looked like they were going to run through the East, and that's definitely not the case anymore. So definitely some prizes and all that. I had the Pacers 15th. I thought they're going to be the worst team in the Eastern Conference. So if you want to count that as, I mean, they're still in the bottom and all that, because obviously, the second half of the season has not gone the way they wanted to. They definitely struggled second half, where they looked like they were maybe a playoff team. So they come back to earth and all that. But, they definitely had a better season than I expected. I didn't think they would be, at one point, fighting for a playoff spot. And definitely they did not look like the worst team, in the Eastern Conference. So that's definitely surprising and all that. So let's head on west. Shut on west. I had the Clippers, the Warriors, the Nuggets, the Pelicans, the Suns, Grizzlies, Wolves, Mavs, Lakers, Kings, Blazers, Rockets, Jazz, Spurs, Thunder. So the 2 teams I had as the worst teams in East and West, are not the worst teams in the East and West, and they definitely surprised. So I could start off with that, as those 2 teams maybe being, their clock to being a lot better is definitely accelerated quicker than I thought. In OKC, I mean, SGA might be an all 1st team guard. I mean, I have him as 1st team. I think he makes one of the teams for sure, but I have
no question. Yeah, I haven't. Usually, me and the dudes on the Up and Under, we do our All NBA draft around this time. So I've yet to sit down and do my deep dive. He'll probably be at worst 2nd team. Like he's been he's been insane. I mean, the Thunder, he's a big reason why. Obviously, they're 10th. They're going to get the 10th seed because Dallas is. Oh God, Dallas is
like, nah, we're good.
We'll
blame Rick Brunson. We'll just blame Rick Brunson to make the playoffs.
That was so weird.
Wasn't that crazy?
Weird.
Like,
that
was Mr. Cuban has not it's not been a good year for Mr. Cuban. I don't know. He butchered it. And not to get off tangent, but
no.
Just say you messed up.
Yeah.
Just say, you know what? We didn't think Brunson was better than the 4 for 55 we were offering, and when he started hooping, we were like, wait, we messed up. We should have just said yes. And realistically, just do the deal. 4 for 55, that's nothing, especially with the salary cap going up, and that's going to be like a backup point guard in like 2 years. Is going to get 4, and you're getting a starting caliber player, and that's the best thing to happen to Brunson, though. Thank God they said no.
And for you.
And for us, we wouldn't be here. Francis, we'd be talking about the Knicks. I'd be sad. It'd be sad. You know, it'd be very sad. It'd just be a lot of sad trombone playing. You know, we 34 wins and all that. But that's one of the best things that happened to Brunson was the Mavs not believing in him, not giving a reasonable contract, you know, especially the playoffs he had and stuff like. You know, you're looking at it, you're like, oh my God, we should have just gave him that because now he's going to be worth double, and the Knicks wound up. But yeah, blaming Rick Brunson and the parents as if this is like, as if he's at Texas and he's recruiting a kid, and like, oh, then you could blame the parents. There's plenty of coaches that'd be like, yo, I just can't deal with the parents. This is a grown man you're talking to. He's 25 years old at the time or whatever, and you're a billionaire owner. Like, you knew the relationship too, first of all. So, like, none of that was in your head. Like, maybe if we don't offer him, he could go to the Knicks because that's always been something lingering.
Yeah.
I don't know, Mr. Cuban. You should have thought this out better because, you know, and then you got to worry about your superstar player, like, but Dallas is the best. Well, and we'll get into that.
Well, no, let's just do it now because
let's just get it. You know what? Because Dallas needs to get flamed. They need to get flamed. They need to go up in flames.
So yeah, there you go. Shout out Mo.
Shout out to Mo.
All right, so my whole thing about Dallas, Mr. Chris LeBron, is I'm not a Kyrie Irving fan by a stretch of the imagination. I'm not a Kyrie fan, but this isn't on him.
This isn't.
This isn't on him. This isn't on Kyrie. This isn't on Kyrie, and I don't think this is on Luka either. You see a lot of talking heads trying to blame a player. Oh, Luka Doncic should take responsibility. It should be all Kyrie Irving. He should take fault too. I don't really think it's either of them. It's the front office. It's Mark Cuban. It's the organization just absolutely blowing it year after year, not making smart margin moves and then trying to make home run swings that, Chris, turn out to be massive swing and misses. Massive swing and misses. And we just praised the Cavs for, hey, you made your home run trade. You went for it. You traded for Donovan Mitchell. Good for you. And it's worked because calculated wise, Mitchell's fit on Cleveland made sense. That made sense. Kyrie's fit on Dallas makes absolutely no sense. No sense.
It's a desperation move.
And it's a desperation move. It makes no sense, man. Anybody who can look at basketball, watch basketball, can understand. You trade for Kyrie Irving on a rental because his contract's up. He might not even come back.
And him be an incoming free agent made it so much risky.
It's a rental, bro. If they re-sign him, you're gonna pay him max money. You're gonna pay like
plus,
what are we doing? Like Mark Cuban saying, like, oh, it's our priority to re-sign Kyrie. Why? Like, why?
They have to though. Now? It's not. You have to. Yeah, you're forcing your. They put themselves in that position. They have to because if they go to next season and they don't sign him, and Christian Wood, I believe, is a free agent too. There's a chance it's Luka, and it's just they might have to sign me or you. They might have to sign me and you to fill out roster spots because they that's how bad they've mismanaged this roster. They forced themselves that they might have to sign a player that they maybe don't want, but they had to make the trade because they have to make Luka happy.
Yeah,
and there wasn't anyone else that they can get, and that was the easiest player they can get. Because Kyrie comes with a lot of baggage and all that, so like they put themselves in a bad situation. And with the Porzingis trade and all that, like They've blown it the last few years.
No, look, and I get that, man. That I'm with you on the premise. For me, it shouldn't. The premise that you're mentioning, that Dallas should be able to look at that premise and the logic and be like, actually, we shouldn't do that because long term, that's problematic for our team. Because what they did by trading for Kyrie Irving is they let go actual good contributing basketball players that complemented Luka Doncic, multiple of them. So you lose Dinwiddie, who is a good basketball player, a good two guard, was able to take the ball out of Luka's hands. And there were issues with the fit. I get it. But then you trade Dorian Finney-Smith and you're basically trading a guy who was your best perimeter defender. And now the Mavs have zero defense. They have zero perimeter defense. They had zeros and unders.
Whatever is below zero is that's how bad they are.
So it's now you either re-sign Kyrie and have the exact same issues, or you don't pay Kyrie that money and actually get serviceable players who fit around Luka Doncic properly. So it's one of those two. And for my money, I wouldn't re-sign Kyrie. I would take the latter choice and actually try and get players who fit Luka Doncic and his ecosystem better. Because you're not building a team around Kyrie Irving. You're building a team around Luka Doncic. And the Dallas Mavericks have shown no ability to prove that they can actually do that properly. But trading for Kyrie was not the move. And then you look back a year ago, and this is another wild thing. They trade for Kyrie on the trade deadline of this season. Go back a year ago. What trade did they do? They traded Kristaps away because Kristaps was another swing and a miss, an absolute fail for the Mavericks franchise.
Yeah,
they traded him a year ago for Dinwiddie. Like it's a wild merry-go-round of just poor transactions, poor signings, poor draft picks, poor trades. It's just a merry-go-round of that stuff. And I don't blame Luka. I don't blame Kyrie. This is 1,000% on Mark Cuban, on the front office for not making the right moves for the basketball team. That's it. That is it. It's not Kyrie, it's not Luka, it's the front office. No question.
Oh no, the front office is definitely on top of the blame. If you want to go through a blame rankings, they're number one. Yeah. You know, you can't. Is there things Luka needs to do better? 100%. The defense sometimes is just like, dude, I need a little bit more effort defensively and all that. But that also means you need to be in a lot better shape. You know, I think that's a thing. And I think he needs to work on. I know he played for, he was playing for his country and all that and off season and all that. So that I understand that, but it seems like that's been a thing too. He needs to work on his conditioning better, a lot more. Yeah. And the defensive end, you need a little bit more and all that. But this is and to think Kyrie's third, fourth, fifth on this list is crazy. You know, everyone assumes they just blame Kyrie, but when you see it's not that dynamic that's not working. It's just they can't defend anyone.
They can't defend, and it's not their. It's again like
anyone.
And then your thing with Luka needing to defend better, I agree. He 100% needs to improve on defense. But at the same time, you got to cut him some slack because he is your offense. He has so much of the burden, so much of the load. And what made Dallas have a good defense last year was that he had 3-and-D wings next to Luka to take that defensive load off of Doncic. You look at this roster now, there is not a single 3-and-D wing. There isn't a single guy. Maxi Kleber was supposed to be that dude, but he's not healthy. He's not looking right. So there is nobody.
Tim Hardaway, and that's a weird situation too. Like that's a whole crazy.
Like, Reggie Bullock, no, he ain't it, man. Like there is not any. I on my Up and Under podcast before they traded for Kyrie, before that whole thing happened, I was like Dallas should keep the same roster but trade for Jakob Poeltl because at the very least you have a defensive center who you can funnel players to the rim. And have Poeltl, who's an elite rim protector, great shot blocker, who can actually play interior defense. So they can kind of emulate what the Jazz did with Rudy Gobert. But instead, they trade for Kyrie Irving and trade their best defender as a part of that trade for Kyrie, and now they have zero defense. So it's just a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah, I've proposed whether it's a 3-team deal that since they have Kyrie's bird rights, you sign him and do a sign trade, try to make like a 3-way trade and get DeAndre Ayton from Phoenix.
Oh, yeah.
That situation, it's probably the same with him and Coach Williams and all that, with Monty, as far as their likability with each other and all that. I think for DeAndre and I've said that last year, I'm like, the Mavs need to try to go see if they can get 8 and all that before they made all the trades for Porzingis, because I think he would fit perfect, and that would be perfect for his game with Luka and all that. So that's maybe something. That's just something I'm just throwing out. Don't know how realistic that is, but something like that could possibly work out. But yeah, it has been a tough year for the Mavs. I didn't think it'd be this bad. Like I said, I had them as an 8 seed. I thought they would make the playoffs barely. I thought they would, but I had it as an 8 seed because even before the trade, I didn't like this team. And after, I definitely don't like this team because now there's even worse defense and all that. And it's like, yeah, you got guys who can get you 80 a piece, Luka and Kyrie on a good night. If they're on, they could drop 80, but they're going to give up. They're only going to get 30 from, they're only going to get 40 from the rest of the team, and they're going to give up $150. So what good is that? I need you to play a little defense and all that. But it's been tough. It's been a tough year, and it looks like they're not even going to make the playoffs. Nope. Not even a play in.
Nope. Yep.
That's how you know things are bad. You don't even make the play in because they're not playing. Yeah. As we're recording, they're not playing anyone tonight. Yeah. So that just shows they're waving the white flag. And remember, because of the Porzingis trade that they made with the Knicks, this pick is top 10 protected. They know that. And they probably didn't. And that's the thing. It's sometimes you make when they made the Porzingis deal, they probably didn't think, we got Luka, we got Porzingis, who's going to be this Dirk Nowitzki type. This is Nash and Nowitzki all over again, just a hyper version, a better version. Yeah. Who cares about the pick? Now it's coming full circle. It's like, oh, we need this pick because guess what? We have none. And we don't have a lot of talent on this team.
No, there's no young talent.
There's no
Jaden Hardy. Shout out Jaden Hardy. He's balling past like 2 weeks, and Josh Green's decent. But in terms of young talent, it's pretty.
Chippers. We need some blue chippers on this team, and they need this pick. They need this pick badly. They need the lottery to go in their favor and all that, and getting that top 10. Or else, if it's 11 up, it's not having a first round pick, and then losing Kyrie. It could be the most disastrous all season. And if you're Luka, and that Luka meter is just going to get hotter and hotter and hotter, and then boom, trade. He's going to act out. And, that can happen quick for them. Yep. So, Mr. Cuban, I would take the season off of Shark Tank, and I try to worry about keeping the most important asset in any of your businesses. Let's keep it real. He is the most important asset, Francis, in any of his businesses. No other employee matters. He is so take off. Be like, hey guys, I know I drive the ratings here, but Mr. Wonderful, everyone else, I gotta care because I gotta my most important asset, my most important employee. Yeah, he might axe out. So I need to focus on getting this team better so I can get back because it could get bad. But the Mavs. It's been a tough season. Okay, I don't want to talk about this team, but Francis, we're going to talk about the Lakers quick.
Yeah, the Lakers.
I can't stand talking about the Lakers, but we're going to do it. I had them 9th, and they're currently sitting. Are they the 9th seed right now? 7th seed. So they're in the play-in right now, Francis.
Yeah. Yep.
They've played a lot better since the trades they've made. Right, that has been obvious and all that. Now And they're currently slated, if everything stays status quo, they go play your Memphis Grizzlies. Okay. Now, there's going to be a world where everyone's going to be like, the Lakers are going to be the favorites to beat the Memphis Grizzlies and all that, right? Yeah. That's definitely.
I think we're in the world.
Yeah, we're in that world.
I think we live in the world.
I think I think they could beat Denver in the round 1, and I think that's absolutely ludicrous. That's my opinion. I don't think they could beat Denver. I don't think they could beat Memphis. Okay, I don't think they can beat anyone in the playoffs. To be honest, I just think they're having a good run. They beat some bad teams. This is a better roster. I don't think they're going to win a championship, and their odds are probably going to be good if they get in. They'll probably be a top 5 team as far as odds. But the Los Angeles Lakers, are we buying them that they can get out of the first round, or is all this just hot washing? Like me, I don't believe any of this. I think they don't get past the first round.
Oh man, Chris,
we believe the hype because with the Lakers, it comes with a lot of hype, a lot of all this, all that. I don't believe it. I think yes, they are better, but I still think they still are what their record is. They are just, they one night they can look like the Lakers, one night they look like how they looked against the Clippers.
Yeah.
And I think that's too much. And then the injury with LeBron with the foot, AD can walk out of the tunnel, and he sprains a wrist and then he's out for so it's just I can't rely on that. You can't expect me to rely on that and think they could beat Denver or even Memphis, you guys. I think there's too much youth. But are we buying the Lakers at all as a legit threat in the West? I know the West is crazy right now.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing though, Chris. It's the West. It's the wild, wild West for a reason. I really believe anybody can catch fire, can stay healthy, and make a run. Like any of the top 7 teams can stay healthy, and just make a run. And that includes the Lakers. If they stay healthy, there's a beeping noise. I think it's outside my apartment. But anyway, it's a big if, obviously, if the Lakers can stay healthy. But if they can, Chris, it's hard. It's hard for me to bet against LeBron playing as good as he is at this age. AD is still AD if he's healthy. And you forgot
about the third superstar, Austin Reeves.
Austin Reeves. I was about to get to it.
Austin Reeves.
That's right. We just absolutely flamed the Mavs for their horrible front office, their horrible trades, their horrible decisions.
The Lakers were there too at one point.
They were there, but we gotta give them credit for the Russ trade. We have to give them credit. And I know you don't want to be on the Lakers bandwagon. I'm not saying I am either, but you gotta give them credit for what they did, because they did the inverse of what Dallas did with Kyrie. Dallas traded for a guy who doesn't fit their team at all, and the team got worse. Yeah. The Lakers traded a guy who doesn't fit their team at all and got better. They got actual positive basketball players who fit LeBron James and fit what they need to surround LeBron with: shooting, another ball handler in D'Lo, and Jared Vanderbilt, who's a versatile defender. I mean, that's really good. And Malik Beasley as well. It's a solid starting 5 around LeBron and AD if LeBron and AD are healthy. That's the biggest if.
That's a monster capital IF.
That's the thing. So I'll play devil's advocate. If they are 100% healthy, I think the Lakers are the worst matchup for the Grizzlies in the first round, because no Steven Adams, and you're going to be having AD on Jaren Jackson Jr., who I love. Jaren Jackson Jr., Defensive Player of the Year. But as we know, he has an issue with fouling, and we're going to need peak Jaren Jackson Jr. to stay out of foul trouble, defend AD very well, and be massively impactful and get rebounds, because the Grizzlies are a poor rebounding team without Steven Adams. Now, if Adams is healthy, he will be able to stabilize the defense, get those rebounds, offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds. And I think if he's healthy, Grizzlies win in 5 or 6 if he's healthy. If he's not healthy, and it's just the Grizzlies as currently constructed, I still think the Grizzlies win. They'll have home court, but I'll pick them in 7, because I really do think the Lakers could give the Grizzlies trouble if they're fully healthy. Now, that's a big if. Again, we're saying it a bunch because it's the elephant in the room. So I understand the hesitancy to not buy in, but I do think it's a good basketball team that will give Memphis trouble if Steven Adams isn't fully healthy.
I still don't believe them. I still think Memphis. I'm still out on the Lakers. I just don't see it. I don't see it. Maybe next season when we see this roster full and all that, and maybe going into the season, but I don't know. I still don't see it with the Lakers and all that. I just look.
It'll be must-see TV, man. If this is the first round matchup, Grizzlies Lakers, oh man, it's gonna be so much fun for NBA fans. And then you've got the diehard Lakers fans who laugh at a small market Memphis Grizzlies team. They're not that good. They're overrated. And that they're going to be talking mad crap on Twitter or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you got Memphis, the young up and coming team who a lot of people were calling cocky and arrogant. And then with all the Ja Morant stuff, it's must-see television, man. It's going to be a fun first round series. I have a lot of friends out here in San Diego who are Lakers fans. One of my close friends out here, Chris, shout out Chris, another Chris. He is a massive Lakers fan. We're going to be watching games together. So it'll be interesting, man. It'll be fun. That's for sure.
Not to get off track, but I always wondered with California, what is the pie chart? as far as I know, you got the Kings and all that, and the Clippers and all that. But what is the pie chart as far as fan? You guys are a massive state and all that. So what is the pie chart as far as Lakers? What portion? San Diego? What is San Diego? I don't have a team. So what is the San Diego? Is that a Lakers town? Is there even a Clippers? Like, I want to know a little bit more about California and how they feel about the teams, the basketball teams.
So for the state of California, I'd say pie chart wise, it's like 40%, 35% Lakers. And then you give another like maybe 20% Warriors because, you know, a lot of bandwagon.
Oh, the Warriors. Fans. Oh, I can't believe I forgot about the Warriors.
A lot of bandwagon Warriors fans. Maybe, probably, I'm trying to do math in my head. It's probably like 50% Lakers, 50, 60. You give 20% to the Warriors. So second highest percentage would be the Warriors. And then you just divide the rest of it for the Kings and the Clippers. It's probably my guess. It's definitely Lakers 1, Warriors 2, and then maybe Clippers maybe higher than the Kings, maybe. But those definitely just split the percentages up, whatever's left over from the Lakers and the Warriors.
Oh, I always wondered that because obviously massive state and you got like what 4 teams there and all that. So I always wondered
in the
split.
Southern California, it's probably like more closer to like 70% Lakers instead of like 50 for the whole state. For Southern Cal, it's a lot of Lakers
Southern
fans.
Cal, okay. And where's San Diego in California?
It's just south of LA. Yeah, it's about 2.5 hours south of LA. So like I drive about 20 minutes from my apartment, and I'm at the border of Mexico. So we're Southern Cal for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah. I always wondered that with California and how how big of a fan base, because obviously Lakers fans, it's big, and then you got the Warriors who've been a dominant. Like, speaking of the Warriors, can you because I listen to every basketball podcast imaginable, and I try to listen to people who insiders and all that. And I'm like, why is this team god awful on the road? It makes zero sense, Francis. If I told their road record, that's up there with the Pistons and the Spurs and the teams that are trying to tank for Wemby, Rockets and all that. There's only 4 teams that have below 10 wins on the road, and the Warriors are there. Now we're talking about a Warriors team who has 4 championships in this decade, right? Has Steph Curry, 2-time MVP, Klay Thompson's an all NBA type player, Draymond Green, a 2-3-time defensive player of the year, and all that. They got vets on this team, Andre Iguodala and all that, Looney, and they have 9 wins on the road. Do you have I don't know. It's kind of weird to try to figure it out and try to see what correlates from how they play on the road to on the home. It doesn't make if I told you this was a young team, it would maybe make sense, even though the discrepancy of win the losses on the road, like at home 33-8, on the road 9-30. You'd be like, all right, that's probably a young team, really young team, and all that. This is not a young team. They have young players, but this is mostly a veteran-laden team. 9 wins on the road. Does that worry you about the Warriors and trying to figure out how they can, what they're going to do in the playoffs? Because right now they're slated for Sacramento right now, and the beam's hot. The beam is hot, and I know people are sleeping on Sacramento, but that's that would be that's a fun series.
Yeah,
like the 9 wins on the road. Can you explain that?
I mean, my again, I know Golden State Warriors insider. That's for damn sure. Because being a Grizzlies fan, we can. I hate hearing.
That's why I'm not rooting for. I need you guys. I need them to lose one more. A couple more games so we could see that. I want to see that first round.
Oh man, but anyway, my gut just points to defense, man. That the Warriors defensively are atrocious. They're 18th in net rating in the NBA, and it's a factor of multiple factors. One of them being Draymond. He's just not the same Draymond. His step isn't there. He's not. His athleticism has lost multiple beats. Klay too. And the defense, it's wild how important Andrew Wiggins is to that roster.
That's another thing too. That's a big factor.
It's wild how important he is. And then they just traded for Gary Payton II because I think the Warriors realized, damn, we shouldn't have let him go in the first place. And he hasn't played. He's been hurt. He hasn't played, and he hasn't played. But whenever he gets healthy, him and Wiggins, you add them back into the roster, the legitimately good defensive players, which I can't believe I'm saying that about Andrew Wiggins. I can't believe I am. But I am. He's a good defensive player. It does change, I think, the Warriors' outlook. But even then, man, the defense just isn't there. And that is a big issue on the road where they don't have a home crowd to really juice them up on that end of the floor or even cheer them on where they're scoring offensively at still a very good rate. I think it's psychologically, it's a different vibe. It's when your defense doesn't translate from game to game. I think it does affect them mentally going on the road into hostile environments. And I think it affects them. That's my guess. That's my prognostication.
Yeah, no, like you said, and you made good points. Not having Peyton there, they traded back for him. They let him go in the offseason to the Blazers. He got a nice deal. Then, there was some, he had the hip, and had surgery and all that. So, and I think the Blazers were kind of like, oh, we didn't know this was the case and all that. They got damaged, damaged product, damaged goods. Yeah. And the Warriors just said, hey, we know his body, we know everything about him. Let's just get him back. We need that, especially with Clay not being the same and all that. We need that protection for Steph and all that. And Wiggins not being there for the last almost 2 months or so, that's going to be crucial for getting him back. But not having him there that's tough because he takes, he's guarding the best of the perimeter players and all that. He's guarding the KDs and the Kawhis and the LeBrons and all that. And not having him there is tough and all that. But they don't play defense on the road even worse.
No,
it's bad. They don't play defense. So, and they don't have an elite rim protector and all that. Looney's a solid player, but they don't have an elite rim protector. So if guys are getting to the hole, because there's no Wiggins and Draymond's not the same and Clay's not the same, then you have no rim. That's why they were able to get away with not having rim protection because they have the Wiggins and Draymonds and Clays to be able to just, you ain't getting past us. We can't, because we don't have that. So we're going to make sure, we guard that, from the free throw line up. They didn't have that. So that's been a big why they've been struck, but it's still crazy that they've struggled that bad. And this is going to transit because we're going to talk about the match. And you know what? Let's get right into the playoff matchups because that's going to be the matchup we see where that 3-6. If they go play Sacramento, if I'm Sacramento, got to win the first two at home. Yeah. There's no if win the first two of them. Do not let them take away home court advantage. Because if that's the case, it's over. Even if it's split, I think it's over. Because I think the Warriors have enough to win 2 at home and then they'll lose 1 at Sacramento and then go back to Oracle and win in 6. So if you're Sacramento in this potential 3-6 matchup, gotta win at home the first 2 games, no matter what.
Got to. Yeah, got to. I could not agree more. And I actually think I don't know off the top of my head what the record is between the Warriors and the Kings this year. I should have looked it up. I don't know off the top of my head. I could
their matchups together?
Yeah. Do you know what they're at?
I'll pull it up right now.
Regular.
They actually play each other tonight. I don't know if anyone's playing also.
Yeah, it's probably like not whatever. Either way, if I'm Sacramento, my whole thought process for this series would be run, and run some more. Push the pace.
So they lost. The Warriors lost the last matchup, which was in so at the beginning of the season, they played them. They beat Sacramento 116-113. In the next the matchup, that's the second matchup. First matchup 130-125. So a lot of scoring and all that. And let's see if they played each other another time after that. I think this is the third time they play each other. I think everyone played each other 3 times. Yeah. So they'll play them tonight. So I don't know if they're going to play. I don't know who's going to be playing. I haven't seen the first 2 games, Warriors just put on a lot of points against Sacramento. Okay. So I'm assuming they even won on the road. One of their road wins had to be at Sacramento then. Yeah. The second game was no, excuse me. Yeah. First 2, or maybe I'm missing a game. Excuse me. The third game was at Sacramento and they lost 122-115. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Just go back to what I was saying. If I'm Sacramento, I'm going to push the pace and just try and outscore them. I mean, that's what Sacramento has done better than really any team in the NBA. Push the pace, play with tempo, get the ball moving, and force Golden State to defend, especially if they have no Wiggins, they have no Peyton. Force them to defend the ball, force them to defend ball movement, motions, and get them going. Defensively, I mean, I think it'll be an issue because the Kings aren't great defensively, but I think they can outrun Golden State. And like you said, they win the first 2 games at home. Then I think Sacramento wins the series. The first 2 games are so important
So I mean, I cannot agree more. But I think Sacramento, I would pick them. I'll pick them to win the series if Wiggins isn't healthy. If Andrew Wiggins isn't healthy, I'm picking Sacramento to get out of that one.
Yeah, no, because Sacramento is going to have to be able to defend the three ball well.
Yeah,
are solid, because that's what the Warriors do. They're one of the best, 3-point shooting teams, and just the best, long distance shooting team. So Sacramento's going to have to stop them there. But like I mentioned before, they got to win the first two at home. They got to take, because if it's split, it's going to be tough for them to go on the road and beat Golden State. So it is going to be a shootout, though. It's going to be a shootout. So
high scoring. The over, bet the over for
those
over
games. And all that, and
bet the over.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. First time Sacramento's been in the playoffs. I think since 2006 or something like that. I think when Ron Artest was there, I think they were 8 seed that year. Like, it's been a while. So good for Sacramento. They have a thing going on, and they can build. De'Aaron Fox finally getting the recognition he deserves, and he's gonna have to be. He's one of the better clutch players in the league. Him and Brunson are like one of the best clutch players, guards in the league. And he's gonna be up for that clutch award that they have. Sure, that new clutch award. I forgot about that for a second.
Clutch award, right?
So he'll be up there, but it's going to be a fun series. But I think if Golden State has their guys ready to go and all that, and we get Wiggins, because Wiggins is probably not going to play in the regular season and all that, and he'll probably his conditioning is going to be interesting, and all that. So it's going to be a fun series and all that. So looking forward to that one. That's going to be fun. But let's go. So that's the 3-6 matchup. Let's go with the fourth. I don't think anybody wants to be the 5th seed.
No,
I don't think anybody's trying to get that 5th. Playing the Suns in the first round is like, this might be the greatest 4th seed, Francis, in the history of basketball.
Ever. Yeah,
they are on a tear right now. They've won 7 straight. I know this gets talked about a lot, but KD might be the most easiest superstar to just plug into any situation. There's not really much adaptability you need. He knows his role. And it's crazy that a guy this good, one of the greatest players we've ever seen, maybe the best player in the NBA, is just like, just put me in it and I'll just adjust. Yeah. And he does it. He did it with the Warriors. We saw with the Warriors. That's why they won 2 championships, and they would have won 3 in a row if he doesn't get hurt and all that.
Yep.
So like right now it's Suns Clippers right now. The Clippers have played a little bit better, but there is no Paul George and all that. And even though I don't know how you feel, I think I like them better without PG, to be honest. Ooh. I like them. First of all, PG's got me mad because when he went on the podcast and said that he ain't it, I don't rock with that. Don't say that. Don't say it. Even if it is obvious you are not that guy, don't say it, bro. Do not say that out loud. Say that in your inner thoughts. Some things are just meant to.
That was weird.
I just don't believe you say, yeah, I ain't it, man. Because if I'm Kawhi Leonard, I'm like, yo, do you know why I'm here? I'm here because of you. I chose you. I could have stayed in Toronto if that was the case. Like, I didn't like that. I did not like that, and it's giving me bad vibes with him. And ever since that, not feeling that. And so but I do like the depth of this team. So it's not because of, he's still a great player and all that. And I think he is valid, but I feel like they have a lot of depth and all that. And Kawhi has shown that he can. It's kind of like with Toronto. It's similar to the Toronto team he had, where he can work with guys like that. And it's kind of, so. But when if they play Phoenix, they're not going to win. They're not going to. I think Phoenix wins this series. I wouldn't say easily. I think there'll be some tough games because they do have Kawhi Leonard, and if he's healthy, he can get you 35. But this Suns team is, you got to get to their bench. If Clippers can get to the bench simply because they have bench depth and all that, they can make this a series. And I think that's for every team that's going to play the Suns. Try to get one of these guys in foul trouble.
Yeah,
if you can.
The Suns they're 10-0 with Kevin Durant. I just don't know what else to say. They are very good with Kevin Durant, and we said heat culture before, so that's one shot for every listener. You must take it because we said heat culture. The other buzz line for every NBA podcast listener is calling Kevin Durant the best plug and play superstar in the NBA.
Yeah.
So now everyone else got to take another shot because it's true.
It's really true though. It's not even like
it's true. It's not
it's very rare you see a player like that because a lot of players, if you were to add any type of player, LeBron and all that, it would take a while to figure it out because of he likes the ball and says KD doesn't need the ball in his hand to be effective.
It's true, man. He's the best plug and play guy in the NBA. It's pretty insane. And so the whole I talked about this before, but it's like we talk a lot about continuity. We talk a lot about chemistry, players knowing each other, and they haven't had time to build that at Phoenix. And so at one point, does that matter? And then does it not matter with Kevin Durant? And I think we're all leaning towards the latter, that it doesn't matter because it's Kevin Durant. So like you said, Chris, no team wants to be the 5 seed. I don't know who is out for the Warriors in their next game or who's out for the Clippers, but if I'm the Clippers, I'm resting everybody. I'm playing like G Leaguers because they're tied. But I think, the Clippers are
But the Warriors are part of like, we know what you're trying to do. We're going to bench everybody too. So we're not trying to win this because right now they're tied, but the Clippers have the tiebreaker. So right now, the Clippers get the 4.
But the other issue for Golden State is the Lakers are only a game back. So if they...
You're right. So the Warriors, even with that thought process, like we don't want to play, but then if we lose and then the Lakers... We could be in the play-in. We don't want to play.
Yeah, we could be in the play-in. We don't want to be in the play-in. Like Clippers are good. They have the tiebreakers. They have the tiebreaker over the Lakers. So even if the Clippers and Lakers are tied, Clippers will not be in the play-in. It doesn't matter. So Clippers are chilling. I don't know who owns the tiebreaker between Golden State and LA. Do you know off the top of your head?
What was that again? What was that?
Who owns the tiebreaker between the Warriors and Lakers?
Warriors and Lakers. Let me check the schedule.
Yeah, me too. Oh man, I'm curious because
let's see. They played the Lakers. Okay, so they lost 1, they lost 2, they lost all 3 to the Lakers. So the Lakers.
Okay, so the Lakers have the tiebreaker. So that goes to my point, bro, that the Warriors have to be a little cognizant of trying to tank for the 6th seed because if they arrest everybody and they lose and the Lakers win, there goes that buffer of the play-in. It's gone. They're in the play-in, and no one wants to be in the play-in because it's so
because you don't know, especially with the Pelicans. Like Brandon Ingram just had a triple-double, his first ever. He's on he's trying to prove people wrong and all that. So that's a tough. You don't want to play in the play-in and all that.
Yeah. Clippers are probably, with having the tiebreaker over the Lakers, the Clippers are probably locked in the 5, like damn near locked in probably. But even then, if I'm the Clippers, I'm playing their 12th man. Like I'm not playing Kawhi.
We're playing BJ Boston. We're playing those guys a lot.
For sure. Yeah, no one wants to play Phoenix. Why would anyone want to play?
You're going to see a Bone Island 30-piece in the next game.
Yeah.
No question. And BJ Boston are going to go off. But yeah, that's definitely, you don't want that. All right. So let's go. Memphis, Lakers at the moment right now. How do you feel about this? This is actually, we talked about this and all that before, so we don't have to go too deep in it. But I believe even though you brought some good points about especially how the Lakers have played of late since the trade, even with all things that are going on in Memphis, I still think Memphis would be able to take care of business in this series, whether it's a 6 or 7 games. Passing of the torch.
I think that's a great analogy, and I think that is what will happen. I'm definitely not gonna pick the Grizzlies to lose it. But like I said before, if Steven Adams is healthy, and we don't know the official extent of the MRI, but he's still listed out, not even doubtful for these upcoming games. I feel like as soon as he's listed as doubtful, all of Memphis will cheer because we'll know that he's slowly getting back. Gives you hope. But either way, if Adams is healthy, Grizzlies win that series in 5 games. I think they win in 5, and that's all she wrote. If he's not healthy, I still think the Grizzlies win it, but I think they win it in 7 because they have home court. And I'm just not going to pick against Memphis in the first round, no matter how tough of a matchup it would be without Steven Adams. But I'll say, and I'll keep this quick because, again, we got to move forward, but I'll keep it quick. Jaren Jackson Jr., if he keeps playing like he's been playing, he just put up a 40-piece in their last game against the Pelicans. And they lost, but they didn't have Ja. They didn't have Luke Kennard, who's been fantastic for Memphis.
Solid
no Xavier Tillman. Yeah. Santi Aldama got hurt early on the game. Jaren Jackson Jr. was by far the best player on the floor, no question. And if Jaren is the second or third best player in the series against the Lakers, then Memphis wins the series, Chris. There's just there's no question about that, because he is so important. The way he's been playing the past 15, 20 games has been bonkers, crazy good offensively, and we know how good he is on defense. So I'm on record stating that Jaren Jackson, the Memphis Grizzlies will go as far as Jaren Jackson Jr. takes them. And I'm not going away from that stance. This whole playoff run is on Triple J. It's not on Ja. We know what we're going to get from John Morant. Desmond Bain, same thing. But Triple J is that question mark that how well he plays, that'll determine how far the Grizzlies go.
I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100% on that for sure. All right. One of the most disrespected number one seeds in NBA history, the Denver Nuggets, and the most disrespected two-time MVP in NBA history also. They potentially they'll play with the Pelicans. I think if this is the matchup we get,
they sweep them.
Whether even if it's Minnesota, let's just say if it's I think if it's the Pelicans, I think it acts a potential sweep. Maybe
that's a sweep.
Maybe Pelicans, because BI goes off, gets a game, but it's probably a 4 or 5 game. And Minnesota may be a little bit tougher and all that.
I think that would be fun.
That'll be a fun series. I think that's more competitive because with Anthony Edwards and Towns back healthy, I think that can go 6, even 7 games, but I think Denver is the better of both these teams. So I think Denver takes care of business in either series. But the Pelicans being probably an easier, especially with no Zion, and who knows with Zion, man. That's a podcast in its own about Zion, because it's one of the it's approaching. He's going to be on that list of, man, what if that guy was healthy?
He's approaching Greg Oden status, bro. Like he's approaching Greg Oden.
Greg Oden's it's great. He's not too far.
Approaching it.
Yeah, because Greg Oden only played in 82 games, and I think Zion's playing. He might be around that, to be honest. But I don't know how many games Zion.
I'd guess less, bro. I'd guess less.
I'll Google it.
Yeah, look it up too.
I hate to see it. I really do. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. I'll pull it up on.
He's played 114 games.
114 games. So more than Greg and all that. But it's sad. But
over 4 years.
And it's messed up because this Pelicans team, I thought they would be a top 3 seed. I think at one point they were the number 1 seed in the West early in the season.
Yeah, or at least top 3.
They were 1 or 2 really at one point, and it looked like, oh my God, this team is they're on the rise. And they
had the Lakers pick, and so everyone was like terrified that they could somehow get Wemby.
They're gonna get Wemby. They're gonna win the NBA title, and they're gonna get a Wemby.
And then get Wemby. Yeah,
because the Lakers at that point were like bottom 3 in the league, and so it was like there was a world where like the Pelicans could be in the finals and they get the number 1 pick and all that, but. It's crazy with Zion and all that, but I think that's a matchup that the Nuggets should take care of and all that. And so let's head on east. Let's head on over to the east, and we'll just give a quick recap before we. But like I said, Francis, appreciate you being on the show, brother. This has been fun and all that. But let's head on over to the Eastern Conference. It would be the Milwaukee Bucks and the Atlanta Hawks right now. So even whether it's Atlanta, Toronto, Chicago, Chicago. I think Milwaukee wins in 4. I think it's a sweep, regardless of who plays them. It's a sweep. So we don't need to go. We know Giannis is, I think if they had
pretty good,
he's pretty good, and
it's pretty good.
If he had cared about it, he could have won MVP this year.
I agree. Yeah,
like a week ago, he was my MVP, but I think Embiid took the throne for him, and Embiid was my preseason pick. But for most of the season, I had Giannis. I think Embiid's going to win it though, but Giannis could have won the MVP easily if he wanted to. But Brook Lopez and them boys, Brook Lopez might win Defensive Player of the Year with this season. I mean, when you get older as a big, you tend to decline. He found the fountain of youth as a big, the opposite.
Yeah.
Boston and Miami. Let's give him Miami right now and all that. That was a series. That was the Eastern Conference Finals last year. That went 7. Jimmy Butler was a 3-point away from, us talking about, Jimmy Butler and the Heat in the finals and all that. So how do we feel about that series? Do you think this is a series if this happens?
I already flamed the Heat at the start of the pod, so I can't go back. I don't think this is a series. I think it's a 5 game.
I think it's 5 game.
5. Yeah, I think they win it in 5. And Boston, we talked about them before, right? Being a little bit of a disappointment. I also think at the end of the day, a lot of tired legs. They just made the finals last season. Yeah, their stars are young, but still tired legs trying to do this year in, year out. And they probably hit that midseason lull where fatigue sets in. There may not be always locked in mentally for a Tuesday night game against the Wizards or whatever.
Yeah.
And so
Robbie Williams being hurt, and Marcus Smart is not the same Marcus Smart they had last year. He was defensive player of the year. He hasn't been on point, and
that's true. But Derek White's been great.
He's been very
good. Yeah.
Brogdon has sixth man of the year and all that stuff. But I think they would win this in 5. I think if you get one of those Jimmy games and he wins one, Sippy off his he has a 40-point game. But I think it ends differently this year. The same result, but just ends in 5 instead of 7.
Yeah,
I think Boston.
I agree.
3-6 Sixers would take on the Brooklyn Nets. I don't think there's a chance in hell the Nets have any chance in this. It's obviously there's no KD and Kyrie, so maybe that would be different if we had those, but that's not the case. Brooklyn has got to give it. It's hard to give Brooklyn credit, but you got to give them credit for staying afloat. After that trade, because they could have easily just fell apart and be in the play, and they still could be in the play-in, but it looks like I think they should be good as far as being a top 6 seed. But I think Embiid barbecue chicken, as Mr. Shaq likes to say, he's going to eat up. He's going to get 40. Harden's going to do enough, and they'll a sweep. I think it's a sweep.
Small note on Brooklyn. I think the offseason will be very interesting to see what Brooklyn does with that roster. They have a lot of attractive 3-and-D wing type players that the NBA, as we all know, they covet.
Dallas could use like a Dorian Finney-Smith type player.
Oh, really? Wow. It's almost like they had Chris.
It's crazy, man. They could use like another guy, They could use a guy like that. But
anyway, it's like it's going to be very interesting to see what happens to this team because they have a ton of wings. Mikal Bridges obviously being the best player on the roster right now. It'll be interesting to see what happens. And shout out to them for, like you said, staying afloat. But I will bet a lot of money, and I don't have a lot of money, Chris, but I'll bet a lot of whatever I have that the Brooklyn Nets roster next year will be drastically different than the Brooklyn Nets roster to end this
Mikal Bridges has shown that he has a lot more to his game than we saw in Phoenix, where he was kind of essentially just like a 3-and-D, corner 3-point shooter and all that. There's a lot more to his game. I think he's averaging like 26 as a Brooklyn Net, around that range. And that's an attractive piece. That could be an attractive piece for some teams and all that, to get a player like them. So if the Nets they want to go to that true rebuild mode, they have pieces, but it's going to end 100%. And it could be a while before they're back in the playoffs. So, tough times, Brooke. But like I said, they stood afloat and all that. All right. The matchup. I think the matchup in this, we're going to hear a lot of this. Bang! Bang! A lot of bangs. We're going to get a lot of bangs and all this. The 4-5. I think this could be the most intriguing matchup. I thought Boston and Nets would be intriguing last year, so I could be wrong. But I truly believe these two teams, it's a pick 'em. It is a flip of the coin and all that. And I think you could go with Cleveland because they got home court advantage and all that. So the New York Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Knicks have beat them 3 out of 4 times this season and all that. So I don't try to go, it's a good thing, right? If you're a Knicks fan, you feel good. All right, we beat this team 3 out of 4 times, but it's a different atmosphere when you're playing a team in a best out of 7, right? We know that you're playing the same team. So it's, sometimes you may have played Cleveland off a back-to-back or on a road trip and all that. So those factors in to that. But Knicks beat them 3 out of 4 times this year. Obviously, we've seen what Brunson's done and Julius Randle. Now, Julius Randle's going to be the biggest thing because he's coming with an ankle sprain. Sprained his ankle. So, and it's going to be around that time where he might be 80%. Ankles they can heal quick, or they're very. I've had an ankle injury and I was out 2 months. I've had an ankle sprained the same ankle and I was out for 2 weeks. So it's going to be tough and all that. But the matchup alone, I think this is a very intriguing matchup, fun matchup, narrative-based matchup because the whole Donovan Mitchell stuff, right? There's a lot of storylines in this because Donovan Mitchell he said I was going to bed thinking I was going to be a New York Knick. He's from New York. And the one thing that Knicks fans that are worried about is that what if he cooks us? And now all we're going to hear for months until next season is, why didn't you go after him? Because if he cooks, Francis,
oh, baby,
he cooks us, regardless. I hear a lot of Knicks fans say, oh, we can't worry about that. I was like, but guess what? We're going to hear it.
You got to worry about it if you're a Knicks fan. You got to worry about that.
To be real, if we lose this series, it's because Donovan Mitchell had a couple 40-pointer games. You know that. But do you believe, and I want to ask you this, do you think this is if the Knicks lose this series, do you think this is a failure of a season? Because that's been a question going around. And there's some people believe that if the Knicks lose this series, that this is a failed season. I don't believe that, because we did, like we just talked about our preseason predictions. We had them as maybe a play-in team, or some people had them not in playoffs. So for me, for them to go from being a play-in type of team to being a 5th seed and almost 47 wins, yes, if they lose, I'm going to be upset. But I can't look at it as a disappointment, because I didn't expect Jalen Brunson to be a near all-NBA. Julius Randle maybe makes a 3rd team and all that. I didn't expect this stuff quickly to be 6th man. So I can't see it as a disappointment. Will I be upset? Yes. As a fan, yes. Regardless of what I'm going to be upset as a fan. But disappointment, I can't look this as an overall disappointment if the Knicks lose. Even if they lose in 4 or 5, like, it would suck. But it depends how they lose, maybe. If they get blown out, I'd be like, sure, you look at it differently, but I don't. If they lose in 6 and 7, Francis, and it's at Cleveland, and we lose in 7, by 5 or buzzer beater, I can't be disappointed in that.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's I think it's also matchup based. It just so happened you're facing the 4 seed, who it's not even at this moment in time, it's not really that close between Cleveland and then the top 3. And it's only a game and a half between Cleveland and Philly. But I think we all agree that the top 3 in the East are like 1, 2, 3. And then
those are the top 3, because we had them as the top 3.
You take a dip, a couple steps down from the top 3. So
100%.
To the Knicks fans who think that they lose to the Cavs, it'll be a massive disappointment. Well, first of all, like you said, Chris, they're much better than a lot of people thought they would be. 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. Potentially a 49 win season. They're 47 right now. Like it's been a very impressive year. And say the Knicks ended up being the 6th seed and got matched up against Philly, and then the discussion we're having now probably wouldn't be a discussion, because no one would pick them to beat Philly. So it's more so caked in the matchup of playing the Cavs, and the Cavs are still very good. So I mean, no, I don't think it would be a disappointment. I think for Knicks fans, I think y'all should be happy with the season that y'all have had. But that's just me. I'm also a more optimistic kind of guy.
We're Knicks fans, so it doesn't matter. We're never happy.
Yeah. Yeah. If I were ever
7 and we figure a way to be upset,
That's true.
But
if I were ever a Knicks fan and entered like Knicks fandom, I would be the rare optimist out of
I would consider myself the rare optimist and all that. I like to put things in perspective and all that, and I try my best to be the optimist and look at things from both perspectives of fan base, because there's still a crowd that thinks we should tank. They should have tanked at one point. I was like, it's hard to tank when you have 2 players like that. The players you have matters too. Like, you can't tank with, you just gave Brunson $100 million and you just paid RJ Barrett $100 million and Randall's making $100 million. And you just paid Mitchell Robinson. It's like, guys, we can't tank. Yeah. We can't tank with this with this. We have the most expensive tanky team in NBA history. You can't do that. Yeah.
So what's your pick, man? You're the Knicks fan. You gonna pick them?
My heart says Knicks in 6. I think they win it at the Garden. The gut says the home court advantage favors. I think not getting home court could hurt. If the Knicks were 4 and Cleveland 5, I'd be like, yes, Knicks no matter what. But I would go Knicks in 6, heart and gut. But it wouldn't be surprised if the Cleveland takes it because they have home court advantage and all that. I think this is going to be a back and forth where game 1, we win game 1. It's going to be a back and forth. I think every other game is going to be a different winner and all that. That could be the case and all that. But it's going to be a big test for Julius Randle and Brunson. They had a great regular season.
Yeah.
Great story. But this is where you become a legend.
Yeah.
You become a star in the regular season. You become a legend in the playoffs.
Agreed.
And in New York, we've seen how you can become just and now you become Derek Jeter, right? That's what set apart Derek Jeter playoffs and all that, and especially Eli Manning and all that. If Randall and Brunson want to be that, and they want to tell people you don't need to get a star, we're here. We're as a collective, we're here, and all that. We can do it. This is an opportunity. But if Randall has a playoffs like he had against Atlanta, shooting below 40%, shooting 25% from three, now it's different. He's got Brunson. You don't have to worry about, he's not just throwing the ball to RJ Barrett and all that. He's got a reliable number two. Could be different, but they have Donovan Mitchell. And we know Donovan Mitchell can take over. So it's going to be interesting. And they got those two big guys. Mobley is a defensive player of the year candidate. He's been tremendous. And I think there's another layer to his game that is scary. Like when we get to fully see Mobley, it's going to be absolutely scary, this player. They got Jared Allen and all that, and they got Garland. It's going to be fun. That's why this is going to be the series of the playoffs, I believe. I truly believe that because they're very close. They probably the closest as far as talent wise and just how they played. It's gonna be a fun one. So I'll put the Knicks. I'll let my Knicks heart take over in the gut, and I'll say Knicks in 6 and all that. I could be wrong. I don't hope I'm not wrong, but it could be ugly if I am wrong. If we lose in 5, and it looks like what happened with Atlanta and all that. Because I remember everybody wanted Atlanta last time, and I was the one person. I was like, Atlanta's hot. They playing good. I don't know if we want them and all that. But we're playing good ball. Cleveland's playing good ball. We won 3 out of 4. There's things that we've done to stop them offensively. It's a good matchup, fun matchup. But I think I take the Knicks and all that. But it's going to be a good series, and it's going to be a great playoffs, Francis.
I agree.
And you have been a tremendous guest, man. It's been a blast talking to you for this last, hour and change and all that. But we got the playoffs around the block. I know you're excited with your Memphis Grizzlies. I know you're excited about my Knicks and all that. So it's going to be fun and all that to see. But before we close out the show, Francis, please tell the people where they can find you and all your tremendous work that you do.
Yeah, it's again, thank you, man. I love talking ball with you. One of my favorite people just to talk hoops with. I feel like we could talk about basketball for like hours.
I could do a streamathon. I could do NBA.
This could take we could talk forever about hoops. That's
why I love, and that's why I love basketball that's why it's people like you. I could do this for another hour and a half, 3 hours.
Easy.
It just there's so much to talk about and just
so much.
You just go on a tangent and you just go talk. There's so many things like there's things we could talk about right now and all that, but. And I'm sure we'll get to it, once we get in the playoffs and we'll see what happens, and all that. But it's always a pleasure talking ball with you, bro.
Yeah, it's an absolute honor to be on the show, talk ball with you. Y'all can find me on Twitter at Slugga Sports, SLUGGA Sports. Y'all can find my work. I do basketball coverage for Bluff City Media, cover the Memphis Tigers basketball program. I do Grizzlies work as well for Bluff City Media, and I haven't written for Off the Ball in a minute, and that's my fault. I take full responsibility.
Oh, you're a busy man. You're a busy man.
Yeah, I'm a busy man, but I'm trying. I've scheduled time to do playoff stuff to put some content out there for the site. So I love Off the Ball Network. All the people there, some of the best content producers. Period. So y'all can find me Bluff City Media on Twitter at Slugga Sports. And again, Chris, thank you, dog. It's an absolute honor to be here, and it's always tons of fun.
No, appreciate you, bro. Like I said, you do great work, and I have a good eye for talent. I like to think I have a good eye for finding talent, and there's just certain people I latch onto on Twitter and all that, and I find them, and I'm just like, I like what they're saying. And when I found you and we connected, it just is like, all right, I like this guy. He knows what he's talking about that, and like I said, I feel like I got a nice eye for talent. In the content producing space and then trying to build a network and all that. I feel like and you definitely one that I saw. I was like, all right, he knows what he's talking about. And then it's led to you to do a lot of great things covering the Memphis Grizzlies, the Memphis Tigers, and all that. Sorry about the loss in the first round. I picked you guys too. Guys too. FAUA, that was a good team. Good team.
We should have won that though. We should have that should have been us in the Final Four, man. Like no question. With the way the bracket was lined up, that should have been us. But referees, Kendrick Davis got hurt. Yeah, whatever. It's basketball, man. It happens. It's
good things happening for them. We got a nice recruiting class coming in and all that. Penny. Sure. I think Penny gets a little too much, but we'll see what it. And that's something. And that's another thing we got to talk about.
Another,
so we got to do that when get a bucket with Kev. We got to do that and all that. But appreciate you coming on, bro, and all that. You do a lot of great work. You can find me Off the Ball Pod. The handle's right there. Actually, I got to time this right there. Boom, handle right there. Follow Off the Ball Network, OTB_network on Twitter, offtheballnetwork.com. Check out the trivia show. Yeah. Trivia show has been a very good success and all that. Check that out. I think we drop it every Thursday and all that. We got playoffs coming in trivia. It's fun though. Basketball, NBA, college basketball, college football. It's a great time. We have a lot of fun with that, and I think a lot of people would enjoy it when they watch it. So make sure to check that out every Thursday and on the Off the Ball Network YouTube channel, Facebook, the Facebook page, Off the Ball Network, and on the Twitter, OTB_network Twitter. But NBA playoffs are around the corner. I think the play-in starts Tuesday, if I'm correct. Tuesday it starts.
First game will be Friday.
Yeah, first game will be Friday and all that. I think in the East, we know who's going to be in that, that's locked up. 1 through 10 is locked up. Just a matter of where the seeding wise, I believe. And then in the West, Dallas is the only one that can make it interesting, but we just saw they threw it away. So it'll most likely be Oklahoma City taking that last spot. But we're gonna have a lot of more stuff to talk about. Like, make sure to follow me and Francis, for coverage of all things basketball and all that. And we'll definitely be back on for and talk more ball as the playoffs gets in and all that. But like I said, that's Francis Carlota. I'm Chris LeBron. We out.